Hello everyone, welcome to a cluttered corner of my very cluttered house. Got back earlier today from another excursion to my favourite charity bookshop, where I picked up another 4 Osprey editions. They always seem to have some in there. They didn't the last time I went, a couple of weeks ago, but they had 4 in there today, and I just picked them up regardless really of whether I've got any sort of immediate interest in the periods they cover, and indeed whether I've got them already. I've discovered several occasions I've come back with duplicate copies of Ospreys that I have already, but it's made me realise, if I just raise the camera up a little bit, that it's turned into a kind of hobby in its own right really, just purchasing Ospreys and hoarding them, hoarding, collecting. There's a fine line between the two. So here are a lot of my Ospreys, not the entire collection. About a year ago I was desperately trying to organise and rationalise my books, and I realised that these Ospreys were taking up a lot of space on the shelves, so I separated them out and put them on in this old bookshelf that I've got in another room, so they're no longer kind of in what you might describe as my library. But it was really just to make room. But as you can see, I've got quite a sizable number of them now. So it's become a kind of a separate hobby in its own right, I think, collecting Ospreys. And there is a certain sort of excuse for it, I suppose, in a way, peeling it off from the wargaming hobby. I can remember a long time ago knowing someone who made a hobby of collecting early Penguins books. Didn't matter whether he wanted to read them or not, he just wanted to collect, starting with number 1. I think his aim was to get the first 100, but this is going to become a similar kind of project to me now, to collect every Osprey ever printed. I think I make it my goal. So today I got Rome's Enemies number 4, Spanish Armies, 218 BC to 19 BC. That sort of a vague interest to me. This really of no immediate appeal to me at all. British battle insignia, number 1, 1914 to 18. I had no idea that Osprey did a book on this subject. It's you're never going to get insignia really adequately portrayed on a 28mm figure, so this is presumably one for the modeler rather than for the wargamer. This one, definitely appeals to me. The Russian Army of the Napoleonic Wars 1, Infantry, 1799 to 1814. Now, I don't have this. I've got a few Napoleonic Ospreys. Don't have this one, and I just wonder why really. I've never got it in the past because it's certainly something that I've painted Russians before, Napoleonic Russians before, so managed to do with that one all my life so far. But seeing it there, as I say, I just buy anything that they have on the shelves now. I won't pick and choose, and it's only if I really can clearly remember having a copy already that I wouldn't pick it up. And this one, Thermopylae, this is in Osprey's campaign series, Thermopylae, 480 BC. Kind of an interest to me, in that I've been drawn towards ancient trireme warfare and so on. Some of you may have noticed from some earlier videos, recent videos I've just put up. And of course Thermopylae, the year coincides with the sort of trireme battles at Artemisium and Salamis and so on. So, but this brings me to another point, and I said earlier that this this collection here doesn't include all of my Ospreys, and that is that having decided now on turning this into almost into a new hobby, it brings, you know, it's all its sort of separate issues about what do I actually put in this collection. So I'd like to sort of restrict it in a way to just the Men at Arms series rather than the campaign series and so on. But then you have separate kind of issues of the way the Osprey publications develop, because you'll see for instance that they do these books called Combat, and these are perfectly sort of you know, legitimate, viable kind of references for painting figures and so on, but they've put them in a sort of separate category to you know, to their typical Men at Arms series. So I've kind of got to include this kind of thing, but the the campaign series almost fall into another category, although they have got some quite nice plates, you know, give you a bit of painting inspiration. I'm not going to be able to find one now, am I? Typical. There, that kind of thing. But they almost come into you know, a proper book on the subject of Thermopylae. So this would belong more in my you know, in my routine, kind of on my more routine bookshelves, my history bookshelves. So I'm probably not going to put that in there, but having said that, I have got some books from campaign series in here. I won't get them all out, but there's one down here, this one on the Boxer, Peking 1900, the Boxer Rebellion. So I've got that in with my Ospreys on the Boxer Rebellion. So, you know, I can't form a kind of you know, consistent policy as yet. But that, you know, that's another issue as well, is how do you organise them? Having decided what you're going to put in here, how do you organise it? Because if you organise it by number, you know, so it's more of a kind of a collecting, cataloguing kind of enterprise, then you're going to have very kind of disparate subjects adjacent to each other, and you're going to separate out books that do really belong to one another. So, you know, just as an example here, we've got if I bring these, well, these, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 6 books, yeah, here, which kind of all belong in the same kind of period. Maybe not so much the armies of the Balkan Wars, 1912 to 1913, but all these other ones are all to do with the Russian Civil War, really. So you've got armies in southern Russia, 1918 to 19, armoured units, and this is again, look, vanguard rather than men at arms, armoured units of the Russian Civil War, the Red Army, and the Russian Civil War, the White Armies, and armies of the Russo-Polish War of 1919 to 21. Maybe that should go there, but if I were to, so that they're all on my shelves, they're together, so if I'm looking through, I got a rough idea where to look, and I can pick one out. But they range from, the numbers on them are 83, the Vanguard 83, 293, 305, 497 and 540. So there's nearly 200 numbers different in there if you exclude the Vanguard 83, which is a separate, numerical kind of ordering for the Vanguards. So they all, if I organise them by number, they're going to end up in completely different parts of the collection, and I'll never find any of them. So yeah, it becomes, it gets a bit OCD in the end, wondering what to do with it, and it's probably better to kind of just let the thing, sort of develop in its own way, really, and try and keep the the sort of things in more or less in subject matter confined to one another. So let's give you a working kind of example of how to do that. So this one is going to have to go in with books on the Napoleonic period, and immediately I'm having trouble finding them, so I suspect they're going to be in this pile on the right here, which is not side on, so I can't read the titles so easily. So looking very quickly, well, while I'm here, I can see that I've got Rome's Enemies 2 and Rome's Enemies 3. So I've got the Gallic and British Celts and the Parthians and Sassanid Persians. So that book I showed you earlier that I just acquired, Rome's Enemies 4, is going to go in there. So immediately the OCD thing's going to kick in, and I'm going to have to start looking for Rome's Enemies number 1. Hope that turns up in the second-hand bookshop at some stage. So I can't see any Napoleonic subjects in that pile, and yet I know for a fact that I've got a few at least. Napoleonic. Oh, here we go, found it. It's all in this one here. So it's kind of not really in the sort of place that you would think of looking. I've got Napoleon's Guard Infantry, Spanish armies of the Napoleonic Wars, Prussian staff and specialist troops, Prussian line infantry, and that's all I've got here. So that works out quite nicely, because if I put that there, then it's going to be adjacent to those Russian army. I know it's completely, 100 years separating the two periods or more, but that kind of makes sense in my weird way of organising things. And then this one, I don't think I've got anything on the First World War. So again, this could go near to the Russian Civil War, which is similar to, the armies of the Balkan Wars in up to 1913, so that would fit kind of in a sort of chronological sense. But then I'm looking at some of the Ospreys I have got for the British Army in later periods. Doesn't really bear too much thinking about, so I'm going to put it over here for the time being. yeah, let's put it just in there, so it's not really, doesn't really belong anywhere for the time being. So that's all I really wanted to talk about, was how easy it is to get obsessed about collecting and hoarding and so on, and the problems that causes just in terms of cataloguing and organising and keeping them somewhere. I mean, they're physically taking up a lot of space that I haven't got in my house now. I'm just so burdened with lots of stuff. I know some of you are kind of busy downsizing and clearing things out at the moment, but my life takes me in a completely separate, different direction. I just can't stop buying more and more stuff. Thanks for watching anyway. Bye for now.